Hello students, welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Dr. Hari Prasad, faculty from the Department of Biophysics, All India Institute of Medical Sciences. Today we are going to talk on the module Introduction to Bioinformatics under the paper Bioinformatics. After completing this particular module, you should be able to understand history of bioinformatics, definition and need of bioinformatics, workflow in bioinformatics, biological data, sources of biological data, drug discovery, genomic data, proteomic data, applications of bioinformatics in health and medicine, and a flavor of bioinformatics experimental data outcomes. First of all, before we get into understanding what is bioinformatics, let's look at the landmarks in the field of bioinformatics. Very early in 1965, Margaret Dayhoff presented what you call as the Atlas of Protein Sequences. And subsequently, there was a Needleman-Wachs algorithm, DNA sequencing and softwares to analyze it. Then subsequently in 81, there was a Smith-Waterman algorithm that was developed. The concept of sequence motif developed. Then the GenBank Release 3 was made public. Then in the year 1982, phage lambda genome was sequenced. 83 sequence database searching algorithm was developed. Subsequently, FASTA and FASTA-N similarity searching. And in 1988, the National Center for Biotechnology Information created the NIH and NLM. In 1988, EMB network for database distribution was commenced. In 1990, the algorithm that we use for alignment of sequences, BLAST sequence developing program, was developed. And in 1991, the expressed sequence tag sequencing came about. Subsequently, in the early 90s, the Sanger Center was set up in Kingston, United Kingdom. Alongside, the EMBL, that is the European Bioinformatics Institute, also came about. And in subsequent years to come in the 90s, a number of organisms, genomes started to be sequenced and was deposited into the data bank. First of all, you had the bacterial genome, then you had the yeast genome, the worm genome, and in 1999, the fly genome was completely sequenced. Even as we go about, we then see how the human genome sequence was drafted, and this was been completed a few years back. And the development in bioinformatics has taken such a huge turn that you now have the entire information available just at the click of your fingers. And in doing so, alongside you have the stem cell development and the technologies such as CRISPR-Cas9 technology. And the most important of it all, the person who developed and drafted the Human Genome Project was Professor Francis Collins, current director at the National Institute of Health at Bethesda, United States of America. I have had more than a couple of opportunities to meet this particular great man, and it has been a tremendous joy for me. When we talk about the history of bioinformatics, it was in the year 1960 when for the very first time protein sequence data was managed using high-level computer language. Margaret O. Dayhoff was a pioneer in the field of bioinformatics. She collected all the protein sequences and called it the Book of Atlas of Protein Sequence and Structure, which got published in the year 1965. She and her colleagues pioneered the computer-based application for Protein Information Resource, a protein database. She was rightly called the father and mother of bioinformatics. Margaret Bale Dayhoff was born in the year 1925, and she was an American biophysicist who pioneered the field of bioinformatics. She engineered the application of mathematics and computational methods to the field of biochemistry. She dedicated her career to applying computational methods to support advances in the field of biology and medicine, and most notably for the creation of protein and nucleic database and tools to retrieve information from these databases. She originated one of the first substitution matrices point-accepted mutations. The very famous one-letter code that is used today for amino acids was developed by her in order to reduce the size of the data files used to describe amino acid sequences in an age of punch card computing. One of Dayhoff's most important contributions to bioinformatics was her Atlas of Protein Sequence and Structure, a book that reported all known protein sequences that were so far known at that particular year in 1965. This led to the Protein Information Resource Databases of Protein Sequences, the first online database system that could be accessed by telephone line and available for interrogation by remote computers. This book has since been cited nearly 4,500 times. Subsequently, the term bioinformatics was coined and used in the year 1970 to refer to the study of information process in biological systems by Pauline Hogweg and Ben Hesper. So, now we shall get into understanding the definition of bioinformatics. Bioinformatics is the analysis of biological information using computers and statistical techniques. The science of developing and utilizing computer databases and algorithms to accelerate and enhance biological research. Now, what does it compose of, or what are all the subjects bioinformatics deals with? You have a number of subjects. You have biochemistry, biophysics, genetics, biotechnology, structural biology, pharmacogenomics, microbiology, mathematics, statistics, and last but not the least, which is very evident, computer sciences. So if we see the need for bioinformatics, we will first have to look into the ways DNA sequence and publications have spanned out over the last 3 or 4 decades. If you see the DNA sequencing, right from the time of 1970s when the DNA sequence began, there has been a steady surge in the number of sequences that have been reported and have continued to go up over the last couple of decades at a rapid pace. The publications, which went hand in hand with the sequences that were annotated, went with the same pace until the late 90s, after which there was a huge gap between the two. The possible reasons for this particular gap has been important areas of improvements in the field of central processing unit, disk storage, internet, allowing faster computations, better data storage, and the revolutionized methods of accessing and exchanging data. This specifically explains the need for bioinformatics to store, annotate, analyze, and understand biological information that have been emerging from the fields of genomics and proteomics. Now we come to understand what is the workflow in the field of bioinformatics. Bioinformatics involves compilation and storage of biological data generated from across the globe in a very orderly and disciplined manner. It also includes the analysis and interpretation of various biological data, including nucleotide sequences, amino acid sequences, protein domains, and protein structures. It also involves development of new algorithms and statistics to assess the biological information, such as relationships among the members of large data sets. It also helps in making sense of biological data in a way to improve the understanding of organisms, plants, animals, and human beings, which in turn has implications in health and medicine. And it helps to integrate data in a manner so as to enable cross-linking of current biological research outcomes with that which was generated in the past. So ever since there has been the emergence of sequences from the field of genomics, there has been a vast amount of data pertaining to DNA sequencing, including the Human Genome Project. But side by side, there has been an emergence in the field what you call as transcriptomics, which pertains to studying the expression levels of different messenger RNAs from a particular organism or tissue at a particular point of time. This had simultaneously validated and substantiated the field of genomics. However, because of alternative splicing and because RNA is highly degradable by RNases, there emerged a field called as proteomics, which pertains to the studying of proteins in detailed analysis of their expression, structure, function, and interactions. These together from the different fields constitute what you call as the biological data. When we talk about the units of information in biological molecules, it pertains to three important molecules. They are DNA, RNA, and the protein. Now let us see what sort of information that we can get from these molecules. When we talk of a DNA, we could be talking about sequence analysis, identification of regulatory regions, gene finding, gene annotations, and comparative genomics. When we talk about RNA, we probably will be talking about splice variants, tissue expression levels, microarray, single gene analysis, and sequence contigs. And finally, when we talk about the protein, we are talking about homology modeling, structure function prediction, ligand docking, protein-protein interaction, and phylogenetic analysis. Having understood the units of biological information and so, we would now go on to understand what are the sources of these biological data. The very foremost website would be the National Center for Biotechnology Information, which is maintained by the National Institute of Health at Bethesda. Here, one could be retrieving sequences, that is the DNA sequences. One could be studying publications. They could be reading a variety of articles that is being peer-reviewed and published online by various authors. They could be getting information of protein structures called as the PDB or the Protein Data Bank, which contains the coordinates of all the structures that have been so far solved using either any of the techniques including X-ray crystallography and nuclear magnetic resonance. And finally, all this information could be analyzed on this particular site called as XPASI, which could simultaneously compare the current data with that of previously annotated information and the sequences that have been stored. This makes a very comprehensive source of understanding biological data with respect to an organism, human body, and disease. Getting to understand bioinformatic databases better, we see what are all the different sites that are available on the web today to get various information. When you talk about proteins, we have databases such as the PDB, UniProt, and the CANTH. When we talk of a disease, we have disease database called as OMIM and IEDB, which is an epitope database and prediction results. And then when we talk of metabolite database, we have HMDB and ECMDB. These stand for a database for small molecule metabolites found in the human body and database for metabolites found in E. coli. When you talk about a literature database, you are talking about the publications that are available on PubMed, which are peer-reviewed literature reference database. When we talk about the sequence database pertaining to DNA, we have the GenBank, we have the database for DNA sequence, and the EMBL, which also has a number of sequences pertaining to nucleotide database. And finally, the pathway database. The pathway database comprises of the interactions between the various molecules that are there in a particular organism or the human body. So you could either be accessing the KIG pathway database, which is an interaction network database, or it could be the MINT, which is the molecular interaction database. And finally, you have what you call as the BioGrid, where you have database for protein-protein interactions, genetic interactions, chemical interactions, and post-translational modifications. Having understood these, we now try to understand what is the relevance or significance of the field of bioinformatics to the human health or the human mankind. There is a particular deep interest in what you call as the drug discovery process. As we understand, chromosomes contain a number of genes. These genes code for specific amino acid sequence. Amino acid sequence dictates a particular fold of the particular protein, and every protein has what you call as a three-dimensional structure. 3D structure dictates protein function, and which in turn determines cell activity. And this particular cell activity further dictates the physiological and the pathological functions of that particular body. And this particular information is essential for the drug discovery process. Genomic data. Genomic data can be obtained from an important site called as the Genome Medicine Database of Japan Proteomics. It comprises a comprehensive input of all technologies that could be used, like high throughput sequencing, mass spectrometry, PCR, bioimaging, microarray, NMR spectroscopy, flow cytometry and mass cytometry, and few other technologies. And what is the outcome of these technologies? The outcome of these technologies would be in terms of omic data. Omic data could be in the form of genomics, proteomics, pathway analysis, RNA interface, synthetic biology, health sciences, epigenomics, metabolomics, genotype-phenotype interaction, phenomics, metabolic engineering, immunology, bioinformatics infrastructure, transcriptomics, fluxomics, genome editing, drug discovery, biomolecular structure, and finally text mining. Proteomic data. When we talk about proteomic data, we are talking about comparing the proteins that are there in a physiological system with that of a pathological system. The differentially expressed proteins are now identified and are said to be relevant either in the causation of the disease or are a product of that particular disease. Therefore, this form of comparing protein profiles between a physiological state and a pathological state constitutes what you call as a comparative proteomic analysis. And if it is a gel-based analysis, then you call it a 2D or a two-dimensional electrophoretic analysis. These two-dimensional protein profile pictures are available with good resolutions on the internet at the World 2D Page Repository. Having said this, the 2D pictures or the differential expression throws up a number of spots or the proteins which could have a relevance as biomarkers for various diseases. They also could be drug targets for emerging diseases. It therefore becomes very important to identify these proteins. These proteins are now identified using very sophisticated and sensitive technology called as mass spectrometric analysis. The identification using mass spectrometry could therefore be available at PRIDE, or the Proteomics Identification Database. This way, all information pertaining to the differential expression or the identification of the proteins and the relevance of the disease is made available comprehensively under the heading of proteomic data. Now, let me talk about the Human Protein Atlas. The Human Protein Atlas project was initiated in 2003 by a funding from Knut and Alice Wallenberg Foundation. It is primarily based in Sweden, and this particular project involves the joint efforts of number of universities across Sweden, along with collaborations from a number of groups in Korea, Japan, China, Germany, France, Switzerland, USA, Canada, Denmark, Finland, Netherlands, Spain, Italy, and in fact, even India is participating in this particular project. This Human Protein Atlas utilizes an antibody-based approach for staining proteins on cell lines for determination of spatial distribution at level of compartmentalized organelles, cells, tissue, organ systems, and the diseased cells such as in cancer. The open access database contains millions of high-resolution images released together with the application-specific validation performed for each antibody. Now, this particular database has been developed in a gene-centric manner to validate all the genes that have been profiled so far, and there is inclusion of all those genes predicted from these particular efforts. And alongside, the Cancer Tissue Atlas contains a multitude of human cancer specimens representing the 20 most common forms of cancer. This includes breast, colon, prostate, lung, kidney, skin, endometrial, and cervical cancer. You have more than 216 different cancer specimens that are used to generate protein expression profiles for all the proteins used in immunohistochemistry. This enables the identification of potential protein signatures for each and every cancer, and this particular aspect in this atlas contains a number of protein profiles to provide an excellent starting point for people who are interested in discovering potential new cancer biomarkers. It's a matter of pride for India as the Human Protein Reference Database is a result of an international collaborative effort between Institute of Bioinformatics in Bangalore, India, and the Johns Hopkins University in Baltimore, USA. HPRT contains manually curated scientific information pertaining to the biology of most human proteins. Information regarding proteins involved in human diseases is annotated and linked to online Mendelian inheritance in man, called as the OMIM database. The National Center for Biotechnology Information provides links to this particular HPRT through its human protein databases and pertains to that particular set of genes and proteins. This resource depicts information on human protein functions, including protein-protein interactions, post-translational modifications, enzyme-substrate relationships, and disease associations. The protein-protein interaction and subcellular localization of data from HPRD have been used to develop a human protein interaction network. As shown from the figures, over 10,000 protein-protein interactions have been annotated for 3,000 proteins in the year 2003. This particular site has grown to over 36,500 unique protein-protein interactions annotated for over thousands of proteins and including more than 6,000 isoforms by the end of 2007. More than 50 molecules have been annotated and at least one interaction and have 10% of these have more than 10 interactions. HPRD also contains 18,000 manually curated post-translational modification data belonging to 26 different types. Interestingly, phosphorylation is the leading type of modification of a protein, contributing to almost 63% of the modification. Alongside, you also have modifications such as glycosylation, proteolytic cleavage, and the disulfide bridges that help in stabilizing the protein as the next contributors of the PTM data. And finally, there is what you call as the Human Proteinpedia, which is a community portal for integrating human protein data, and this particular content is freely available for anyone to download and use, including you students. We finally now try to understand what are the possible applications of bioinformatics in health and medicine. Firstly, we would be able to diagnose and treat genetic disorders better. Then, based on the information, we could also be able to predict the vulnerability of people to disease and patients to complications. One would be able to understand cellular events in health and disease states. Scientists would be able to develop targeted therapies for conditions such as cancer. We would be able to develop more potent drugs for various pathological states. And finally, for the community, one would be able to develop diagnostics with a higher sensitivity and specificity. Lessons in bioinformatics. Are they fiction, tale, movie, or reality? For example, you had Michael Crichton, who wrote the book Jurassic Park, which then went on to become a very famous movie. Steven Spielberg used information that was available on the proximity of amphibians to dinosaurs on the phylogenetic tree to help fill the gaps on a paleo DNA to create dinosaurs. Next, chicken is a descendant of the raptors. Therefore, theoretically, a change in the gene expression would help to regain their old characteristics, and which could be what you call as a chickenosaurus. And this particular chickenosaurus could be visualized as a chicken with a tail, hands, claws, and fleshy mouth and teeth. You then would have a chicken that could possibly eat you. And then finally, another example would be the way scientists felt that the actor Michael Keaton was so big a personality that the world could not have just enough of a single Michael Keaton. So, therefore, wanted to clone him and have multiple copies of him so that Hollywood could be able to perform better. So, it is just not his movie multiplicity, they actually wanted a real multiplicity in the happening. These are various reasons or the various ways in which bioinformation can be used. It is therefore important to understand that while sometimes it could be a fiction or a movie, using the bioinformation in the right way will help for a better survival of mankind. Some of the practical applications of bioinformatics are the protein structural analysis. All that one would need would be a DNA. A DNA is translated using bioinformatic tools to a protein sequence. Based on its homology with other sequences on the data, you could create a protein structure by homology modeling. Such is the utility of bioinformatics. Structure-based drug designing using small molecules. So, once you understand the structure of a protein, you then go on to understand the catalytic mechanisms and the substrate binding region. Once you understand this, you could be using various bioinformatic tools such as docking to design small molecules that could potentially bind to the site where the substrate binds, therefore competitively inhibiting the binding of the substrate. Therefore, bioinformatics is a very potential tool to develop small molecule inhibitors. Structure-based drug designing using peptides. As I have previously told, once you understand the structure of a protein, you could use the information to understand the volume and also the chemical entities in that particular region to develop a peptide-based drug molecule. This particular peptide would not only act as a drug molecule by itself, but it could provide a template for the design of several subsequent small molecule-based inhibitors. One of the important applications of bioinformatics is drug designing. In fact, when we talk about drug designing, we need to talk about the aspect of potent drug designing. How is it possible? Bioinformatics helps to understand the three-dimensional structure of drug targets from various organisms and parasites, and the structures of the homologous proteins that are present in the human body. Why is this needed? When you say that a particular drug molecule binds to a drug target, we also should know if there is a potential possibility of these drug molecules binding to similar proteins in the human body. It is these interactions between the drug molecules and the secondary drug targets in the human body that result in adverse effects and toxicity. Now, in this example, you see here that we have structurally characterized two isoforms from the parasite as well as from the human body, and we delineate a series or a list of differences between the between the structures of the parasite and the human isoform. If you look at the catalytic site that is there on the right hand side, you see that you have a catalytic triad of histidine, tyrosine and aspartic acid in the parasitic isoform, whereas in the human isoform that is shown in green, you have a histidine, a phenylalanine and a aspartic acid. The loss of the oxygen atom by the that comes from the tyrosine here helps to design potent molecules that are very specific for the parasitic isoform as compared to the human isoform. This helps to lay a platform or a template to develop potent drug molecules. Phylogenetic analysis. Bioinformatics could help us to understand the way various proteins have emerged over a period of time in various organisms, including Homo sapiens. For example, a phospholipase A2, even though present in scorpion, fruit fly, humans and liver fluke, is present in many organisms. The functional usage of this particular enzyme is different. While in the scorpion it's used as a component of venom, it is used to process food molecules in a fruit fly. It is present for a housekeeping function in the human, and in the liver fluke it is present as a causative agent to the etiology of the disease called as cholangiocarcinoma. Another important application of bioinformatics is to understand various drug mechanisms and their toxicity. For example, gentamicin, which contains a 3-ringed carbohydrate moiety, is an ideal antibiotic against a drug target of ribosomes of certain bacteria. But we have comprehensively shown that in addition to that primary target, it could have secondary targets such as calreticulin, and the binding of this particular molecule to calreticulin could be triggering a particular cascade of events resulting in nephrotoxicity. Bioinformatic application in the current world would be looking at aspects of personalized medicine. Personalized medicine, as one understands, is the design of drug molecules that is tailor-made for every disease and every individual who is affected by that particular disease. So in this particular example, we have shown that possible isoforms of a particular target that is present in different individuals could be targeted differently, and unique molecules could be designed for effective outcome, and this lays the foundation for design of potent drug molecules for every individual in the aspect of personalized medicine. Protein interaction studies and pathway analysis. So when we talk about bioinformatics, we are also trying to understand how different molecules interact with each other to lay out a physiological or a pathological state in the human body. In this particular paper, we have enumerated the proteins that are differentially expressed in the responders and non-responders of ovarian cancer to standard combination chemotherapy of paclitaxel and carboplatin. Responders show differentially expressed proteins that have been highlighted in pink, which facilitate apoptosis, thereby having a better chance of responding to chemotherapy response. Whereas patients who had a high expression of proteins that facilitated survival were shown to be non-responders to this particular chemotherapy. This is a very classical example of using bioinformatics to understand protein interactions. Another very important application of bioinformatics is to understand the molecular basis of a particular disease. The question that we are trying to ask is, can understanding the structure of proteins help us to understand clinical scenarios better? Now, the clinical scenario that we are talking about here is the cachexia, or the weight loss that is seen in patients with chronic obstructive pulmonary disease with that particular variant of phospholipase A2 that has serine at the 80th position as compared to the wild type which has glycine at the 80th position. So we modeled the two enzymes, we modeled the receptor, we did the docking and binding studies of these two phospholipase A2s with the receptor, and it did a detailed structural interaction analysis. Now, what we find is that the isoform serine 80 variant binds better to the receptor by a series of ionic interactions and hydrogen bonded interactions as compared to the wild type. So, it explains how this particular potent binding triggers signaling of this particular M-type receptor to produce cytokines that mediate cachexia and weight loss. Thereby, we have now provided structural basis for this particular clinical disease of cachexia in COPD patients. So in this particular bioinformatics course, a variety of experts and scientists, including myself, would be talking about introduction to bioinformatics, biological databases, tools used in bioinformatics, genome analysis, next generation sequencing, database mining, protein sequence analysis, phylogenetic analysis, protein secondary structure predictions, protein tertiary structure prediction, protein structure validation tools, in silico drug screening, docking to drug targets, functional genomics, systems biology, and finally, programming in bioinformatics. So students, now let us summarize all that we have learned in this module called as Introduction to Bioinformatics. So, over the last few decades, there has been vast amount of research resulting in large amount of biological data in the fields of genomics, transcriptomics, and proteomics. Bioinformatics has emerged as a field of science that compiles, integrates, and makes it readily available to one and all on this particular planet. It interlinks subjects such as biophysics, biochemistry, structural biology, molecular biology, microbiology, computational biology, and statistics. Bioinformatics has been useful to understand better the innumerable living organisms in this world, including human beings. Bioinformatics has a great impact in the field of medicine and human health, and by aiding drug designing, biomarker discovery, a molecular mapping of microbes, it has helped to advance research in the fields of medicine. Thank you so much.